It's time for a Wellness Revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctorate.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast is brought to you by Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy.
Welcome to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacey Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, founder of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And if you haven't done so yet, then you can always go to hotzepodcast.com. That's Hotze podcast.com to download our latest and greatest ways on how you can achieve optimal health through natural approaches to health. And we have had topics about how to lose weight in various ways. I know that the keto lifestyle, we've talked about that quite a bit. However, there's another key part of weight loss, and that has to do with hormonal balance. Isn't that right, Dr. Hotze?
That's exactly right. Thank you so much, Stacey. And thank each one of you for joining us today on Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I believe that you and everybody needs to have a physician who can coach you with his staff on a path of health and wellness naturally. They have to know what they're doing. They have to be trained in this. They have to have the wherewithal and the commitment to help you get on a path of health and wellness naturally without pharmaceutical drugs. So as you mature, you've got energy, you've got vitality, and you've got enthusiasm for life. Wouldn't you like to be that way? Everybody, if you're alive, for crying out loud, you ought to feel alive. I don't care if you're 30 or 70 or 80. If you're alive, you might as well be alive. You don't want to be dragging with the half dead, just got one foot in the grave and just waiting to go. You ought to be up and going and feeling great, and you can be at any age, as long as you eat healthy, you got your hormones replenished, you get your vitamins and minerals in, so you detoxify yourself, and you're doing some exercise. Those are the four basic points of good health. Now, we're going to talk today about hormonal imbalance and how that adversely affects your ability to maintain good metabolism and an ideal body weight. Now, your hormones are specific molecules made by glands called the endocrine glands in your body, and particularly the ones we think about are the thyroid hormones made by the thyroid gland in your neck, your sex hormones made by the ovaries in women, by the testicles in men, your adrenal hormones made by the adrenal glands, which sit on top of the kidney. We have other hormones like insulin, which is made by the pancreas. But the hormones and this affects your metabolism, these hormones, as we mature and enter puberty, begin to have effects on our bodies. So when you're born, either male or female, once you hit puberty, if you're a female, you're going to begin to secrete from your glands, your ovaries, estrogen hormones and progesterone hormones. You're going to enter your menstrual cycles, and you're going to get your secondary female sex characteristics, the breasts and all that. And you're going to get the shape and start to look, instead of like a little girl, you look like a young woman, and you begin to mature. In men, their testosterone kicks in puberty, and these little boys, they got high squeaky voices and sing in the boys' choir. All of a sudden, they're shaving, and they got muscles, and they're strong, and they're aggressive, and they're crazy, when the testosterone starts going. And they start identifying and saying, I'd like to participate and meet that young lady over there. All of a sudden, the girls are looking pretty good, which had cooties a few years before, but now they like those girls. So it produces male pattern behavior when the testosterone kicks in. Now, as we move through our lives, our hormones begin to change. In females, if they have good hormonal production, in a 28-day menstrual cycle, a woman will begin to make estrogen hormones day one of her period. Just before the period, all the hormones have stopped. She sloughs the inner lining of the womb. Now she starts to produce estrogen hormones, which are proliferative hormones, which proliferate the inner lining of the womb. They also cause breast swelling, and they can cause some fluid retention when your estrogen gets to a certain level. That's why at mid-cycle the woman ovulates, and she gives off an egg mid-cycle at day 14 or 15, and in that location, the corpus luteum on the ovary, she produces progesterone, which balances out the estrogen. And when that happens, she waits, and if she doesn't get pregnant, well, then all the hormones stop. She sloughs the inner lining of the womb and starts over. Well, whenever a woman matures, her ovaries don't work as well as they used to, as they did when she was in her 20s. Some women have problems right from puberty. They have irregular menstrual cycles, and they're never balanced. And so that can be a problem. And oftentimes they get thrown on birth control pills, which suppress the natural production of your natural hormones in the ovaries, and they're taking these chemical counterfeit drugs, which can cause a host of health problems and lead to breast cancer over a period of years. And it can cause all kinds of depression and adverse effect on the thyroid gland. So when a woman matures, as she matures and the progesterone levels fall, estrogen becomes the dominant hormone. So her periods will begin to show significant changes. First, she may have periods 3 to 5 days and light, and then they may last 5 to 7 days, heavier with some cramping. And then as she marches through her menstrual life into her late 30s and 40s, then they may last 7 to 9 days, and she has very heavy bleeding and some breakthrough bleeding. We call that menorrhagia, heavy bleeding and heavy cramping. And then they start having mood swings premenstrually and fluid retention and headaches and weight gain and all kinds of problems that are associated premenstrually because of the imbalance of the hormones, progesterone and estrogen. Now, when you have a woman, we call this estrogen dominance, which is the other side of the coin to progesterone deficiency. So here, now her estrogen is dominant, and she has these problems that adversely affects her body's ability to utilize thyroid hormones. Now, thyroid hormones are produced by the thyroid gland in the neck, of course. They circulate in the blood, don't do anything in the blood. They have to enter the cells. The inactive thyroid hormone T4, which is thyroid with 4 iodine molecules, is converted to T3 and it activates the mitochondria within the cell to produce energy. If you don't get enough thyroid into your cells because you have estrogen dominance, and now you have thyroid binding globulins produced by the liver but caused by the estrogen dominance, they glom onto the thyroid hormone. You don't get enough thyroid in your cell, and your energy production declines because the thyroid hormone catalyzes energy production within the cells, and now all of a sudden you downregulate those cells. You have low voltage. That means you got low energy production. You have low metabolism. When your metabolism goes down, your weight goes up. And then if you're eating an improper, unhealthy eating program with high levels of grains and potatoes and rice and corn, and drinking soft drinks and having candies and all that, and you're not eating healthy, well, guess what? All of a sudden, all that gets converted to fat. It converts to sugar, and sugar gets converted to fat. So you get weight gain. Now you're carrying around this extra weight. Your energy level is low, and you're not producing enough energy. Your body stays cold. Your body temperature is low. You're not thinking clearly. You can't sleep well. You're getting mood swings. You get joint and muscle aches and pains. You think you got fibromyalgia, your doctor says, because you have joint and muscle aches and pains. That doesn't tell you what the problem is. Something's causing your fibromyalgia and your joint and muscle aches and pains, and likely it's the imbalance between your in women estrogen and progesterone, which is leading to estrogen dominance and production of thyroid binding globulins, which bind to thyroid hormone, so the thyroid can't get into the cell. You go to the doctor and they do blood tests on you. You go, your blood tests are all normal. Well, they're going to be normal, for crying out loud, in a bucket, because they define normal. Well, 95% of the people's blood tests land. And 95% of the people will always fall in the normal range, because that's what they define the normal range as, wherever 95% of the people fall. And by the way, the people that get their blood tested aren't people that are feeling really good and healthy, because they don't go to the doctors. People that are feeling sick and tired, and so their thyroid levels are going to be low anyway. Now they have this broad range, and the doctor's going to say your blood tests are normal, your thyroid level's normal. They look at the female hormones. Well, they vary from day to day over the menstrual cycle, and they have a wide range of normal. You're going to fall within the normal range there. And the doctor's going to say, he's going to tell you two things. One, I think you're depressed. He's going to put you on antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication and or sleep medication. And if you're having irregular periods, ladies, guess what? Mm-hmm. He's going to suggest you get a hysterectomy. That'll stop the bleeding, but the bleeding wasn't caused because you had a womb. It was caused because your hormones were imbalanced and your estrogen was dominant and stimulating too much production of the inner lining of the uterus. This can all be obviated and corrected by taking natural progesterone whenever the imbalance starts and a woman has premenstrual symptoms and irregular periods or heavier periods. A little progesterone day 15 through 28, and this is natural bioidentical progesterone, can do a world of good. It can solve a multitude of problems and save you from having to go through and have a hysterectomy. Now, and remember also that estrogen dominance, I should note, not only does it cause the irregular bleeding, but it leads to fibroids in the uterus. So you get fibroid tumors. And that doctor's going to want to do a hysterectomy on you like that. Listen, I'll tell you how bad it is. Remember, OB-GYN doctors are surgeons. They deliver babies the first half of their career. They take out wombs and do bladder suspensions the second half of their career. I have a doctor that told me back in training, he was an OB-GYN. He says every afternoon in the office he prospects for hysterectomies. Prospects. The women in there are just like mines, and he's prospecting, trying to find a case that it can do to make a living. Now, ma'am, you don't want that. There are over 600,000 hysterectomies done a year that are uncalled for. Listen, in our practice, because we use progesterone, we have saved thousands of women from having hysterectomies. Very few women that we see in our practice who are still menstruating, very few, it's less than I could name on my hand, end up having a hysterectomy because we balance the hormones. And that imbalance in the hormones adversely affects your body's weight because it downregulates the thyroid. And when your thyroid's downregulated, your metabolism goes down, you're eating unhealthy, and your weight goes up. Men, it's the same thing. Testosterone stimulates the conversion of the inactive thyroid hormone T4, which is 92% of the production of your hormone, thyroid hormone by the gland. Testosterone enables T4 to be converted to T3 intracellularly, the active thyroid hormone. If you don't make enough testosterone, guess what? You don't make good conversion. Mm-hmm. So inevitably, men as they age, their metabolism goes down because their testosterone levels go down. Now, here's one way that the doctors speed up the hormonal imbalance. You go to a doctor and you've got elevated cholesterol, which used to be considered to be over 230. Then they dropped it to 220, then to 210 to 200. Now they're talking about dropping it to 180. Cholesterol is a very important molecule. It's made by your body. 80% of it's made in the liver. And all your cells make cholesterol. And cholesterol forms a ring around every one of your cells. 25% of the cholesterol is in the brain. It's important for neural transmission. It's important for myelin sheaths. It's important for the production of your vitamin D. Vitamin D is made from cholesterol. When the sun hits your skin, it converts the cholesterol to vitamin D. Your testosterone, men, and your female hormones, ladies, and both in men and women, your adrenal hormones from the adrenal cortex are made with a base of cholesterol. That's cholesterol. It's the steroid base out of which you make your steroid pathway in your body, your natural occurring healthy steroids. Steroids made by your body are healthy, and the building block for your hormones is cholesterol. So if you go to a doctor and your cholesterol is elevated, and he is a conventional doctor, he's going to throw you on the poison statin drugs, and that's going to lower your cholesterol, and that's going to cut down on that's going to adversely affect your hormone production in your body, and you're going to feel terrible. It also destroys the production of coenzyme Q10, which is an energy molecule that the power plants need to convert nutrients into electrical energy. Particularly the heart needs high levels of coenzyme Q10, and the statin drugs stop the production of coenzyme Q10, and it causes a host of health problems. Matter of fact, mortality rate for those people that take statin drugs is higher than those who don't take statin drugs. Yes, it'll lower your cholesterol, but cholesterol is not the problem and cause of heart disease. Inflammation is cause of heart disease, not cholesterol. And we'll talk about that in another program. So here, the long and the short of it is, if you will balance your hormones with proper levels of thyroid hormones, which are determined clinically, not based strictly on a blood test, although we look at thyroid antibodies, which most doctors don't evaluate, and that's to see if you have autoimmune thyroiditis and antibodies to your thyroid gland. If you have that, that's classical reason to try a dose of thyroid hormones to see if that will help stimulate your energy production. Remember, thyroid hormones enables your cells to produce and use energy, and you need that energy. And you can tell if you have low thyroid. Just do a body temperature. It should be 98.6 during the day. If you're running low in 97 or 96, your body's not producing enough energy. That's why you're running cold, and your body doesn't function well at lower body temperatures. It functions ideally at 98.6. So if you want to be healthy and well, you've got to replenish your hormones, both your thyroid hormones, and I believe anybody who has signs and symptoms of low thyroid deserves a therapeutic trial of thyroid hormone. Also, if you're having imbalance in your female hormones, you deserve a therapeutic trial of progesterone. And men, as your testosterone level falls, you need to have that supplemented. Besides that, as you age, your hormone levels inevitably fall, and the building block for all the steroid hormones is pregnenolone, and that can be very helpful in rebalancing your hormones, as can DHEA. So these are a few tips. So this is what you can do if you want to get yourself healthy and well. Get on a good healthy eating program and rebalance your hormones and replenish them. That's very important.
Yes, and it's such an important conversation to have, because as important as a healthy eating lifestyle is, and Dr. Hotze recommends the ketogenic eating program, we do get plenty of people that come to us saying, I'm doing that and I'm working out and I'm still not losing weight, and they're very frustrated, and that's because the hormone imbalance is a part of that. So if you want to find out more about how to balance your hormones, then give us a call at 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. Thank you for joining us today at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution.
A special thanks to Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy, proud sponsor of Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the listener's discretion.